Hello and welcome to the II Affairs podcast.
Today we are stepping into a topic that it really feels like science fiction, but unfortunately it's the reality of the internet in early 2026.
It really is.
We're looking at a phenomenon that suggests the web as we know it, the place we go for information, for connection, for truth, is undergoing a fundamental sort of structural collapse.
We're calling this deep dive the synthetic internet. And honestly, looking at the stack of research you brought in today, from the World Economic Forum to technical papers in Nature, it feels a bit like we're discussing an environmental disaster.
That's a great way to put it.
But instead of an oil spill, we're talking about an information spill. We're talking about AI slop.
That is exactly the right term. And just to set the stakes here immediately, we aren't talking about a few spam emails or, an annoying customer service bot.
No.
We are talking about a total saturation of our digital environment. According to predictions from the World Economic Forum and Axios, up to 90% of online content could be synthetic, generated by AI by this year, 2026.
90%. That number it's just staggering. It basically means the human internet, the blogs, the articles, the comments written by actual people is becoming a tiny island in this massive ocean of automated noise.
Precisely. And the mission for this deep dive is to understand the three specific stages of this crisis. We need to break it down.
Right.
First, the slop itself. How do we even spot it and why is it everywhere? Second, the technical consequence, which is known as model collapse. What happens when AI starts eating its own tail?
Okay.
And finally, synthetic reality, where the line between what's real and what's fake just dissolves entirely, and that has massive social consequences.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I want to start with something small but weirdly fascinating that I found in the notes. It's a specific linguistic trend from a 2025 paper by Dirk Spenneman.
Ah, yes.
Standards around a phrase that I think everyone has seen way too much of lately. Delve into.
Spenneman's paper. It's a brilliant piece of detective work, really. Because he didn't try to build some complex black box AI detector. He looked at how language itself is changing.
So for you listening, Spenneman looked at the frequency of certain words on the internet over time, and he found this linguistic smoking gun.
It's a massive outlier. He analyzed millions of web pages and tracked the usage of delve into. And if you look at the graph before 2023, the usage is just flat. It's a horizontal line.
Humans use it, but not that much.
Rarely. Then ChatGPT and other large language models are released, and suddenly, boom, the graph goes vertical. It's a skyscraper.
It's not a gentle slope, it's a takeoff. And what I found so interesting is that he compared it to the word explore.
Right. And in natural language, explore and delve into are basically synonyms. If a topic gets popular, you'd expect people to use both words more often,
Sure, yeah.
But Spenneman found that explore actually saw these weird artificial dips, while delve into was just skyrocketing.
So essentially the bots have a favorite vocabulary, and they're just drowning out human word choices.
Exactly. It's a quirk of the training data, the reinforcement learning from human feedback. The models are trained to sound helpful, polite, and a little academic, so they latch onto words like delve, tapestry, or landscape.
I've seen tapestry a lot, too.
And Spenneman's conclusion is stark. Based on this one marker alone, he estimates that at least 30%, and likely closer to 40%, of text on active web pages is now AI-generated.
40%. Almost half the text we read online might have been written by a machine that just really, really likes the word delve. That is the pollution we're talking about.
And that brings us to the definition of slop. The Kazana Research Institute and Moin AI, they really nail this definition. They call it pollution in our communication environment.
I love that visual, pollution, because it implies it's clogging things up. But we should clarify, this isn't always malicious, right? It's not necessarily a scammer trying to steal your information. Sometimes it's just garbage.
It can be malicious, but you're right, often it's purely economic. Slop is defined as low-quality content that looks convincing at a glance, but, well, it lacks any real substance. It's produced cheaply, en masse, and the goal isn't human value, it's just throughput.
Content for content's sake.
It's content for algorithms. It's designed to game SEO rankings, to capture clicks, to generate affiliate revenue. The KRI report lists examples like zombie websites, fake obituaries, which is incredibly grim.
Oh, I saw that. And the AI-generated mushroom foraging guys. That one's genuinely terrifying.
It is.
You do not want an AI, which is known to just make things up, telling you which wild mushroom is safe to eat.
Exactly, and that's the danger. It mimics the structure of helpful information. It has the bullet points, the introduction, the confident tone, but it lacks the veracity. It lacks that connection to reality. It's just noise.
So we have this flood of slop, The internet is filling up with these delving bots. But here's where it gets really interesting and kind of existential. If AI models are trained on the internet and the internet is now full of AI slop, aren't the AIs just learning from themselves?
You've hit on the single biggest technical problem facing AI development right now. It is a feedback loop from hell. And the term for it is model collapse.
That sounds dramatic.
It is. We have a paper from Nature, one of the most prestigious scientific journals, that details this. They found that when AI models train on recursively generated data, so data created by previous AIs, they start to degrade significantly.
And get stupider.
They lose variance, they lose contact with reality. The researchers call it an autophagus loop.
Autophagus, I mean self-eating, right?
Yes. The snake eating its own tail. Think of it like this. If you shout hello into a canyon, you get an echo. If you record that echo and then shout it back and then record that echo, eventually the crisp sound of hello just turns into a muddy noise.
You lose the original meaning.
You lose the nuance. The source material calls this cultural flattening. The Nature paper points out that human data has tails. It has outliers, weirdness, specific humor, dissent, even just grammatical errors that add flavor.
Right.
AI tends to regress to the mean. It aims for the average. So when you train AI on AI, you chop off those tails, everything becomes beige.
And the really scary part was that the researchers tried to fix it. I read in the study that they tried to force the models not to repeat themselves.
And it backfired. That's the wild part. When they enforced non-repetition penalties, basically telling the AI, don't just say the average thing, the models actually performed worse.
Why would that happen?
Because they were being forced away from the likely truth into these weird hallucinations just to be different. Since they didn't have access to the original human truth anymore, only the average AI truth, forcing them to deviate, just made them lie.
So the slop isn't just annoying for us trying to find a recipe online. It's actually poisoning the food supply for the next generation of AI.
Yeah.
We're hitting a ceiling where the models can't get better because they've polluted their own school.
Exactly. It suggests that unless we can curate pristine, organic human data, we might see a stagnation or even a regression in model capability.
Okay, so that's the technical side. But I want to pivot to the human consequence. Because reading through Emilio Ferrara's paper on the generative AI paradox, I got actual chills. He argues we aren't just dealing with fake text anymore.
No. Ferrara argues we're entering an era of synthetic reality, and this is crucial. He breaks it down into a stack of 4 layers. We've been talking about layer 1, content, text, images, video.
Right, the slop.
But layer 2 is synthetic identity, layer 3 is synthetic interaction, and layer 4 is synthetic institutions.
Let's break those down. Synthetic identity. That's more than just a fake profile picture, I assume.
Oh, much more. It's the ability to manufacture a credible witness. We aren't just talking about a bot with a generic name. We're talking about voice clones that sound exactly like your relatives, face swaps that work in real time.
And synthetic interaction.
That's the behavior. It's not a static post. It's an AI agent that can build rapport with you. It can groom a victim. It can simulate social pressure. It adapts to your emotional state in real time.
The example that really brought this home for me was the Hong Kong case study. This happened back in 2024, but it's the perfect illustration of this stack in action.
The Hong Kong CFO scam, a classic terrifying case study in synthetic reality.
So for anyone listening who doesn't know,
Yeah.
a finance employee at a multinational firm gets a message from the CFO about a secret transaction. Standard phishing attempt, right?
Seems like it at first.
But then to verify it, they get on a video conference call.
Right. And on this video call, the employee sees the CFO. They see other colleagues they recognize from the office. They hear their voices. The colleagues are nodding, reacting. It looks like a boring standard corporate meeting.
But it wasn't.
But the employee was the only real human on that call.
That is nightmare fuel. Every other face, every voice was a deep fake.
Every single one. The CFO, the colleagues, all synthetic identities. The interaction was synthetic. They were responding to the employee's questions in real time. And because of that synthetic reality, the employee authorized payments totaling $25 million.
$25 million. Because their own eyes and ears told them, this is real.
And Ferrara makes a critical point here. Our verification instincts, the things evolution taught us to trust, like seeing a face or hearing a voice, have now become liabilities. We used to think, I'll believe it when I see it.
Now seeing it means nothing.
Exactly. Which bleeds right into that 4th layer you mentioned, institutions. This is where society really starts to creak. Think about how many institutions rely on documents, invoices, receipts, ID scans.
I just submitted an expense report yesterday. I uploaded a photo of a receipt.
And your company trusts that image. But you could have generated a perfect fake receipt in seconds. There are reports now of AI expense fraud just skyrocketing. This layer, synthetic institutions, is about the corrosion of all those workflows. If a bank can't trust a scan of your ID, if a newsroom can't trust a photo from a war zone, the machinery of society grinds to a halt.
That leads right into this crisis of trust. We have data from the 2025 Reuters Digital News Report, and it paints a pretty bleak picture of how people are reacting to all this.
It does. The report shows that trust in news is stagnating and news avoidance is at record levels. People are just checking out, they're overwhelmed, it's too much work to figure out what's true.
It's the fog of war, but for everything.
And interestingly, the Reuters data shows a massive shift toward personalities. People are abandoning traditional news brands and flocking to influencers.
Like Hugo Decrypt in France or Joe Rogan in the US.
Exactly. The data shows young people, especially, trust these individuals more than they trust CNN or the BBC. And why? Because they feel authentic. In a world of synthetic slop, a human face talking into a microphone feels like a lifeline.
Even if, and let's be honest, those influencers are often vectors for misinformation themselves.
That's the irony, isn't it? We run from the synthetic fire into the arms of human error. But it makes sense psychologically. We're desperate for something that feels unmediated.
There's a term Ferrara uses that I think defines our daily lives now, the epistemic tax.
Yes. This is a brilliant concept. Think about a financial tax. It's a cost you pay on a transaction. An epistemic tax is the cognitive energy you have to pay on every single interaction to figure out if it's real.
It's that split second of hesitation when you get a text from your bank.
Mm.
Or when you see a video of a politician saying something wild. You have to pause and ask, is this AI?
Exactly. And that pause is exhausting. It drains our mental resources. Society is now paying a massive tax on truth. And bad actors, they count on verification fatigue. They know you'll eventually get too tired to check.
This brings up the liar's dividend.
This is the flip side of that deepfake coin. The liar's dividend is the idea that as deepfakes become common, it becomes easier for real people to deny reality.
So a politician gets caught on tape taking a bribe, and they can just say, oh, that's AI.
Precisely. And because the public knows AI exists, that excuse becomes plausible. It creates a world of plausible deniability for everything. It raises the cost of establishing the truth to a point where, for many people, it's just too expensive.
So they just give up.
They give up. They drift into cynicism or credulity.
Yeah.
Ferrara says those are the two failure modes. Either you believe everything or you believe nothing. And both are dangerous for a democracy. If you believe nothing, you can't have a shared reality. You can't solve problems.
So, what does this all mean for us? We've got the slop, the models collapsing, deepfake video calls, the liar's dividend. It feels pretty bleak.
It is a serious challenge, perhaps the biggest information challenge we've ever faced. But the research does point towards solutions. It just requires a shift in mindset.
Ferrara talks about epistemic hygiene.
Yes. Just as we learn to wash our hands to stop the spread of disease, we need to learn epistemic hygiene to stop the spread of synthetic manipulation.
But what does that actually look like? Because spotting the fake seems impossible now. The AI is just too good.
You're right. You can't rely on your eyes anymore. You can't look at the pixels and say, oh, the shadows are wrong. So the solution isn't detection, it's provenance.
Provenance, like with a piece of art. Knowing its history.
Exactly, the chain of custody. We need to move from artifact-based trust, believing the photo looks real, to process-based trust, knowing where the photo came from. Was it signed cryptographically by a camera? Did it come through a verified channel?
So we stop looking at the content and start looking at the pipeline.
Correct. And for you listening, this means shrinking your circle of trust, relying on verified channels, and honestly, valuing human connection more than ever.
It brings me back to that LinkedIn article we had in the source stack by Prabal Singh. He ended with a really poignant thought.
I loved that. He said the most powerful act for a human in 2026 is to preserve human data.
To keep thinking, writing, and questioning as humans.
Because if the AI is eating itself, if the models are collapsing because they are feeding on slop, then authentic, messy, original human creativity becomes the most valuable resource on the planet.
We are the signal in the noise.
We are, and we have to protect that signal. We have to archive it, cherish it, and verify it.
To summarize what we've covered today, the internet is effectively being paved over by AI slop, potentially up to 90% of it. This is causing the AI models themselves to degrade in a process called model collapse.
Right.
And on a human level, it's creating a synthetic reality where we're all paying a massive epistemic tax just to figure out what is real.
That is the landscape, and the way forward is epistemic hygiene. Don't trust the artifact, trust the provenance. Verify the source, and value that human signal.
A sobering but necessary conversation. Thank you for listening, and see you next time on AI Affairs.